Today I'm coming at you from my sewing space, and this is my industrial Juki DDL-8700. I love this machine. It pounds through every layer of everything and it's just the best. So if you have this machine and you're struggling to get it set up or threaded or know what kind of needles or know what kind of thread or any of those things you need to know, I'm going to go through that right now. We're going to insert a needle, we're going to thread it, we're going to look at the bobbin, and we're going to adjust the tension. So let's jump right in. So here she is. This is the Juki DDL-8700. There's a couple other models that are very similar. So if you have one of those other ones, what I'm about to say will probably apply to your machine too. So you can see right away it takes a big needle, and what I love is that the needle threads from the side. It doesn't thread straight in the front, it's sideways. So that's really cool. It also has a big fat bobbin that I'll show you that I love. And we'll just go ahead and thread it. So I ordered all my threads from the threadexchange.com, and luckily they had some very useful information on their website that makes it really easy to know what you need to buy for your specific machine. So thank you, the Thread Exchange. This is the type of needles for this machine. So DBX1 is the needle class system, the needle system. So this is what we needed, and then this is the size needle here, 110/16. So I found in the manual for this machine that the DBX1 needle system is what you need to use. So then on the threadexchange.com it tells you what kinds of threads to use for what needles, so that tells you what all threads you can use. So I ordered this bonded nylon size 46, text 45. So that will work with my needles that I bought, and my needles that I bought will work with my Juki. So we should be in business. The first thing we're going to do is wind a bobbin. So I have my black thread here that I'm going to use, and your thread stand may be different, but I'm just going to come from back to front through the hole on my thread stand. You're just going to do something similar if yours is different. And then this right here on the side of the machine is our bobbin winder. Bring the thread around this tension disc. So there's these two discs, and you want the thread to actually go in between the discs, just like your tension disc on your machine. And then there's a little hole right here. So you bring the thread through that hole. Okay, from there we'll bring the strand towards us. Right here is where we're going to put the bobbin. So here's our bobbin we're going to use. This is a bigger bobbin than for a domestic machine, so this is what we need for this machine. And we're going to take this strand and just put it through one of the holes so that the tail comes to the outside, just like winding on a domestic machine. Okay, so then just take your bobbin and stick it on this little spindle like that, and I'm just going to pull the tail so there's no slack, and then this little lever we push forward, and now I'm going to hold on to the tail here, and the needle is going to go up and down. So I just removed the bobbin from inside the machine just because I've had a little bit of issues with this machine when I accidentally forgot to unthread the needle and I tried to wind a bobbin and some other things. You want to unthread the needle before you wind a bobbin because the needle goes up and down, at least on mine, which mine's been modified. But just be careful not to have thread in your needle going up and down when there's not fabric in there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to press the pedal and hold onto the strand lightly. I'm going to turn on the power first. Okay, I wondered if it might stop when it was done. It didn't, so it started to wind around the spindle. So just watch that and stop it when it is filled. Okay, let's cut this off. Okay, we have our wound bobbin. Let's just set that aside for now and let's insert our needle. Okay, so we need the needle bar to be up before we begin. So go ahead and turn your hand wheel towards you until the needle comes to the highest position. Okay, so the little black screw above the needle is what we're going to loosen. So we just need our screwdriver, and we're going to go in here and turn the screw towards us to make the needle loosen. And I'm just going to hold on to it so it doesn't fall into the inside of the machine when it falls out. Okay. So you can see here the needle does not have a flat back like a regular domestic sewing machine needle. It's just totally round. So when we insert this, how do we know how it goes? Well, it does not go with the eye straight towards us. It goes with the eye to the left. So I have rotated it. See that little part of the needle that is shaved down? We want that to go to the right. And we're going to slide it up in there. So you might be wondering, oh geez, how can I make sure that I have this correct? And it's actually in there at the right angle and it's not just somewhat to the side but not quite to the side, and that is, we do have to use a little bit of judgment and get this right. But here's a little trick you can do. You can put another pin or needle into the eye and then check that that pin or needle is coming straight out perpendicular to the left like mine is right now. So then yes, it is how we want it. So I'm just going to hold it like that, take my screwdriver, and I'm pushing it all the way up in. Oops. Let's try again. Okay, needle is all the way up in. Now we're going to rotate it to the side. I'm going to hold it up with my fingernail. I'm going to put the needle in it. I'm going to check that the needle is at a perpendicular angle. Oops, that's the wrong direction. There. Okay. That looks proper placement, so I'm going to tighten the screw. Okay. Our needle is inserted. Okay, here is our bobbin case. We're going to insert our newly wound bobbin into the bobbin case. So when you put it in, it has to go the right direction. So if you hold the bobbin case in your left hand, you'll see this little slash opening. Okay, so then you're going to take your bobbin and the thread should be coming towards you. Like it's coming up over a mountain and towards you. And you're holding that in your right hand, and you put that into the bobbin case, and then you take the strand into that little slit and then guide it into this. It'll kind of click into that little hole right there. Now if you have something called a TOA gauge, you can measure your bobbin tension, but I'll show you an easy way to get really close to the correct tension you need. So if I pull this, it should be tight enough that it should be loose enough that it doesn't leave my hand, but I don't want it too much looser than that. I want it right on that precipice. So you can usually even tighten these with your fingernails because they're so little. So I'm going to tighten it just like a quarter rotation. Okay, it still doesn't leave my hand when I pull it. I'm going to tighten just a touch more. If I pull it, does it leave my hand? No. Just a touch more. Now, does it leave my hand? Yes, it does. Now that's too tight. So we found the precipice. Now we're going to go back. We want it just right on that edge. Okay, that's not leaving my hand, so that is the tension we're looking for. this is where the bobbin case goes underneath the machine. So take the bobbin in your hand and be careful to hold on to it so the bobbin doesn't fall out of the bobbin case that we just loaded. Okay, so now look in here for that little divot right there, that little shape, and line up the bar on your bobbin case, this little bar handle thing that goes side to side. Line that up with that bar and insert it. Okay, like that. And if it's lined up, you should be able to press in the middle and it'll click. Like that. Okay, so that's inserted. Okay, so you'll see there are two holes on this guide. I'm just going to put it back how it was, which was angled kind of to the front, kind of to the right. Okay, and now you're going to take your thread and insert it into the back of the bottom hole. And then, strangely, insert it into the back of the top hole, so that we have a little twisty that's going to make tension. Okay, this is the next thread guide. In this one, we will insert the thread on the top hole from the right, and then the bottom hole from the right. Now for the next part, we want to lift the presser foot, the lever's back here. From there, we'll take the thread through this silver guide that opens from the right, like that. And now we'll bring the thread around the tension discs. So there are two discs here. You can stick your fingernail in there and see where the thread needs to go. It needs to go between those two discs like this, and then up, and then pull it tight. See how it clicked in there? And I'm also holding the strand with my right hand up top, so it clicked in there. We want it to really be deep within those tension discs. Okay, and then see how I brought it all the way up so that it is caught by this little wire. So I brought the strand around, and then I yanked it all the way up here into the tension discs and back down, so that, see, when I give it a little tug, it moves that wire. Next, bring the thread around this guide on the bottom, and then in that same guide as before, in the same way, just like that, so the thread's in there twice. Now here's our take-up lever. It has a hole in it, and we thread it from right to left. Like that. From there, you'll take your thread into this tension disc that opens to the left, or this guide, like that. Next, we'll bring the strand around this curly needle guide here. So go in from the right, and then wrap it around again like that, so it comes straight through that little spiral. Then there's a little circular hole right here. That's another guide for your thread. Go right in that from front to back. And finally, we'll thread the needle from left to right. Okay, so now we're ready to pull up the bobbin thread from underneath. So I'm going to hold on to this thread with my left hand, and I'm going to turn the flywheel on the side of the machine to my right. I'm going to turn that towards me so the needle goes down and it comes back up. And when I give a little tug on that, it has formed a loop from the bobbin thread. That's what we want. So we just pull that up through till we get the end. Okay, so we have both of our threads here. And I'm just going to bring them both under the presser foot and through that little slot, and bring them over here to the back and kind of off to the left so they're out of the way. So we're now threaded and ready to go. So let's try sewing something. I have some, what I think is some cotton flannel here, and I'm going to be working with leather, so I want to test this on a very thick fabric so that I get the tension for what I'm going to be doing. So I got 4 layers of it here. I'm going to put it under the presser foot. I'm going to lower the presser foot lever in the back. Now I don't usually use that presser foot lever a lot because I have a knee lift here. So let me show you under the table. I have this that I can move with my leg, and it makes the presser foot go up, let go, and it goes down. This is awesome for when you like to keep both of your hands on your project and you don't want to have to reach all the way back here for the lever. The knee lift is amazing. I love that feature on any machine. Okay, so let's go ahead and stitch. I'm going to press on the pedal. Looks pretty good. So here's what we got. It looks nice on the front, and it looks nice on the back. Now, it did not look like this yesterday when I was troubleshooting the tension. So I'm going to take you through that process in case you just have no idea where to tension this. Maybe someone came by and turned your knob and it's completely off now, and you just don't even have a starting point. Because this machine is not like a normal domestic machine where it has numbers. You can't just turn this to 4 and remember it needs to be at 4. It doesn't have those markings. So let's go through the process of setting up the tension. Okay, so let's just say you don't even know where to begin with the tension. You are trying to sew and it's not making a good stitch. So the first thing I would do is do the bobbin tension and make it how we just did. That way you'll know the bobbin is not the issue. So do the bobbin first, get that to the right tension, and then we can start troubleshooting the top tension. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this tension dial all the way That's all the way as tight as it'll go. So I turned it all the way to the right. So let's just see what it does. This is really tight tension. Okay, we can already see some horrible puckering going on. Look what it's done to the poor fabric. And let's look. Oh my gosh, we don't even have stitches here. Flip it over. It's surprisingly not that bad. Kind of crazy, but it doesn't look good. See how there's dots of the bobbin thread showing through? That's how you know that your top tension is too tight. You can think of it like the bobbin is not able to hold its own tension in relation to the top thread, which is why it's being pulled forward to the top thread's side. It's like the top thread is playing tug-of-war way more aggressively and pulling that bobbin thread up to the top. So we don't want that. So you would just want to loosen this. I'm going to loosen it a full rotation because we already know that we just turned it like 4 times, full rotations. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, again, it's not even stitching, it's just not even working. was kind of weird. I'm not sure why I did that. Let's go tighter. I'm gonna take this and go just a full rotation, oops, to the left for loosening. And let's try again. Okay, we still have the yucky bobbin dots. We don't want those showing. So we're gonna go to the left. I'm gonna go another full rotation to the left. And try it again. Still have dots. Let's try again. I'm going to go to the left, another full rotation. I'm going to go over here on the right. It's starting to sound better, that's for sure. This thing has a nice sound once it's happy. Okay, we still have some bobbin dots there. We just did that top row there. Still got some of those unwanted dots of the bobbin showing through. So let's loosen it another full rotation to the left. Let's fold up another thick section. And try again. Okay, we're getting a really nice stitch now. That looks good. I don't see any of those bobbin dots. We're looking at this top one here. That's a really nice stitch. Let's look on the back side. Beautiful. Okay, that looks perfect. So I would leave that there, but I'm gonna loosen it even more just to show you what it does when you go too loose. So I'm gonna go whole rotation to the left again. And try it again. Just love that sound. Okay. Again, it's not looking too bad. It looks very nice. So it seems to have a pretty wide range of acceptable tension that it'll make a good stitch with, which is kind of surprising. Let's go another full rotation to the left, just to see if we can get a yucky too loose stitch. Okay, the top line there, and it looks very nice on both sides. I wouldn't say that's bad at all. And let's go another whole rotation to the left. Looks great. Looks really good. So really any of these tensions. Okay, so you can see right here, it's got a little bit of a wiggle. That's what I was trying to kind of create. I notice when the tension's too loose, you get a stitch that's not straight, like it looks kind of zigzaggy or wiggly. Let's go all the way to the left again. Okay, now you can see that top one's just a little messy. It's just not quite straight. And that's part of how you can tell your bobbin or your upper tension is too loose. So surprisingly, it's taken it like a champ, and it's just making a nice stitch with all of these settings. Let's try it on the single layer though. I have a feeling it won't look so good. I have a feeling it's just doing so well because we have so many layers. Let's try the same setting on one layer of thin flannel. Yeah. See how bad that looks? That's supposed to be a straight stitch and it's like totally a zigzag. So that means it's way too loose. So let's go and tighten it a full rotation. And let's try it on this single piece of fabric again. And you'll really want to do this test for whatever you plan to work on. So I could have done this test on leather, but I didn't really have any sitting around, so I did 4 layers of the flannel. I got a good result, and I'm sure it's going to give the same good result on the leather. So let's just do it on this thin, and you can see how different it is though. Okay, again, we are too loose. We got zigzags when we should have straight stitches. So full rotation to the right it is. And let's try again. Again, we have a wavy zigzag for a straight stitch. Let's go to full rotation to the right again. It's getting closer to a straight stitch, but it's still not that straight. Let's do another full rotation to the right. Okay, now that's starting to look pretty good. That bottom one, that's what we just did. Right about there. Starting to straighten up. Not on the back though, the back's pretty wavy. I'm going to tighten it one rotation to the right. Love that sound. Okay. That bottom one we just did looks pretty nice. Let's look on the back. Not quite straight, but you know, I think that we're not going to get a perfect result on the single layer of fabric. And that's not what we're going to be using anyway. But let's just go to the left one rotation and find out. Oh wait, I'm going the wrong way. We need to go to the right one rotation. We're tightening to try to get it more straight. Okay, so now it is too tight. So we found too loose and we found too tight, and we want somewhere in the middle. See, we got bobbin dots again, and we have puckering of the fabric. So that means our needle top tension is too tight. So let's go back like half a rotation to the left. Let's try it on, we're getting close to the right tension, so we're going to try it on both the single layer and the folded layer. Oops. Came unthreaded. So we have to go through this and around this and in that little hole. Oops. Okay, we're ready. Okay, let's test our setting. Okay, Now that looks not too bad from the front. It does look kind of wavy from the back, but I think it's just that we need a thicker layer of fabric. I don't think we're going to get a perfect result on this thickness with this needle and thread, which isn't what we're going to be sewing on anyway. So let's go to a thicker section and let's see. I'm sure we're going to be happy with this stitch on the thicker section. Alright, that looks really nice. I like it on the front. I like it on the back. So that's the tension I'm going to keep. Okay, a couple other things I want to say about this machine. If you went through that whole tension process and it was very frustrating and none of the tensions worked, one thing it could be is that your thread is not truly in the tension discs here. So make sure there's 2 discs. And make sure your strand went in there deeply, and make sure your presser foot was up at the time, which opens those so your strand can go in there deeply. Hold it on this end and this end, pull it, and make sure it's in there. If it's not, then you're trying to test and you truly have 0 tension the whole time. So make sure that there's that. Another thing I just wanted to point out is these dials you have here. This is your stitch length, so just like a domestic machine, you can make this whatever you want. A higher number is going to be a looser stitch, lower number is going to be a more dense stitch. This is our reverse lever, so you just hold that down and hit the pedal and it will sew backwards. This here on top is our presser foot pressure lever, so that dictates how much pressure the presser foot has on your fabric. So you can change that if you feel you need to. And then this machine has oil and an oil pan underneath, and you can see it splashing up in this little window periodically. It does its own little self-lubrication in that way, so you just have to make sure that it stays filled with oil. And then just check your manual for the information about oiling and make sure you do that. So that's about all I have to say. So that worked out great on my leather. Love how that machine just pounds right through. I'm so happy I was finally able to finish this jacket because none of my regular domestic machines were too willing to go through that leather. Okay, so I was able to replace the zipper in this very heavy leather coat that has lots of layers of thick leather. And the machine did awesome. So I do just want to tell you a note about sewing with leather. When I got to the sections with multiple layers, I kept having thread breakages, so I did end up turning the tension down probably over 2 full rotations, so turning to the left, and then it was okay. So if you're getting thread breakages, your top tension's too tight. So I hope that helped you with your industrial Juki machine. I hope you got it threaded. I hope you were able to order the right thread, needles, etc. If you have any more questions about this machine, or if you're troubleshooting and it's just not working, please leave a comment down below. I would love to help you. And please give my video a like if it was helpful to you. Please hit that like button and please hit that subscribe button for me. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.